Congratulations on the names king. I was just wondering whether or not there be any more Gamba. Asking for a friend, of course, not me, but I heard there's some people down bad in chat. Thank you. Very good stream. Very nice head size. Just asking for a friend. Yeah, dude. Minneapolis news being suppressed by Twitter. What's going on? You guys keep posting this. Someone got, I think, a white supremacist attack happened in Minneapolis last night. We'll look at it in a little bit. Anyway, Afro-Latine people are calling out this movie Lin-Manuel Miranda worked on because there's little to no representation of their community in a film that takes place in a part of New York where they're primarily the demographic of. Oh, what is this? This is the In the Heights, right? I mean, it's fucking Lin-Manuel Miranda, dude. What were you expecting?
The late nights you taste beans and rice. Ice. I ain't gonna say it twice. Turn up the street lights. We taking the flight to a.
I think Afro-Latine people should have been excited to be spared of this fucking cringe fest. You know what I'm saying? Sorry. This Afro-Latino take is so fucking bullshit. I was talking to my PR girlfriend, or my Puerto Rican girlfriend who has covered the story and interviewed the cast. It's just Afro-Latino erasure because they are not black enough. Wait, really? They got Tim Kaine in the membrane. I thought he meant public relations girlfriend. Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda was being based by fucking helping Afro-Latine people avoid the cringe fest. Washington Heights.
Congratulations on In the Heights. It was a lovely musical, but as a Black woman of Cuban descent, specifically from New York City, it would be remiss of me to not acknowledge the fact that most of your principal actors were light-skinned or white-passing Latinx people. So with that, what are your thoughts on the lack of Black Latinx people represented in your film?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was something we talked about, and I needed to be
something that we talked about and deliberately chose not to participate in. I mean, I don't think any of those people are white passing, but like I'm white passing. You know what I mean? I don't think those people would pass, but what do I know?
Educated about, of course. In the end, you know, when we were looking at the cast, we tried to get the people who were best for those roles, and that specifically, and we saw a lot of people like Daphne or Dasha. But I hear you on, you know, trying to fill those cast members with darker skin. I think that's a really good conversation to have. Something that we should all be talking about.
I didn't realize until making this movie that I didn't really get to see myself or people that look like my siblings that are darker.
One of the 4 leads is Black. One is 100% Mexican.
Darker than me.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched this, so I don't know what the fuck's going on
screen, and I didn't realize how much that affected the limitations that I put on myself being someone who wanted to be an artist.
Nah, bro, this shit pisses me off. Like, so what? I'm white passing and I'm not Hispanic. Hear this shit all the time besides go to the South. That ain't white passing bullshit. I'm Latinx and Black. Why do you not have more of me in this movie? I mean, so, okay. So colorism is a huge problem in Latino communities. Okay. So, yes, Afro-Latino people absolutely get fucking they are at the intersectionality of xenophobia and racism. So it's definitely an issue. Like, it certainly does occur. Your chat literally knows nothing about the world, Jesus. Dude, why the fuck would a bunch of white people know anything about this? Come on. Like, this is, listen, dude, this is like tier 3 race relations, okay? Like, most motherfuckers are like, what's systemic racism? Like, this is way beyond that, dude. Like, liberals learn about systemic racism and then they still forget that, like, I don't know, that like Latino people could be racist. You know what I mean? Like, they'll like shut off another part of their brains that way. But yeah, I mean, most communities have this kind of attitude towards whiteness as a consequence of colonialism. It is one of the never-ending. It's one of the never-ending intergenerational signatures of colonialism, specifically in the West. Not the same in like with Asian culture, you can say that too, but it gets a little bit more different in Asian culture. I think it's more classist in China, for example, rather than like Western expansions. I've talked about the differences, but there is still a fairness in there's still like fairness that that Chinese people care about. India is more a consequence of colonialism, but in China, colorism comes originally from classist undertones. Like you are fair-skinned if you spend more times indoors, and therefore you're from a wealthy family. It's kind of it has like classist roots. Like for example, in countries like Kenya or in some African cultures, being pleasantly plump or being fatter is regarded as a class position, right? So that's what is seen as like more valuable. You come from a wealthier family because you've been well fed. So there is still a classist undertone in a lot of that. But yes, minority groups and marginalized communities still have hella colorist standards that they uphold, whether on purpose or inadvertently. So yeah. So welcome to learning about that.
Artist and be an actress and, you know, even be in the Latin music industry, being Afro-Latina. I feel so blessed we get to.
But I do think it's kind of weird to just be like, there's black people in the movie, but they're not black enough. Like what the fuck? What are you trying to say? Like, I mean, it's like the inverse of that almost. You know what I mean? Like, what are you saying that they're not like? That's kind of fucked up, dude. Like, if there's black people in the movie in the main cast, and you're like, sorry, you're just fucking not black enough, even though you are Afro Latine. It's like, okay. I mean,
to express the diversity that is within the Latinx community in a way that we haven't been able to see on screen, because so many times we're put on screen in one particular way, and since we get so little opportunities, everyone wants to claim that one story because it's all we got.
I think it's important to note though that in the audition process, which was a long audition process, there were a lot of Afro-Latinos there, a lot of darker skinned people. And I think they were looking for just the right people for the roles, for the person that embodied each character in the fullest extent. And I think we are all very much like our characters, so much so that in a lot of times it didn't even feel like we were acting. They just kind of let us live in there. And because the cast ended up being us, and Washington Heights is a melting pot of Black and Latinx people, John and Lynn wanted the dancers and the big numbers to feel very truthful to what the...
I mean, this looks like, I don't know, this looks pretty fucking diverse to me, but like, what the fuck?
Community looks like.
Did you not see that in the dancers as well?
Those are roles that historically we've been able to fill, right? We've been able to...
No shit, you're white? No one in Washington Heights looks like this? It's a movie, dude. Of course no one looks like this. What the fuck do you mean? Since when are movies documentaries? People also don't fucking dance in the middle of the street, dude. Yeah, they're shredded and attractive and can dance like a motherfucker. What do you mean? Like, it's a Broadway musical, dude. Like, movies are supposed to be a one-to-one comparison of real life. It has to deal with Hollywood as a history of only putting fair-skinned people on screen, you mean? That's why I imagine people are upset it's not black enough.
To be the dancers, and we've been able to be in the hair salons and, you know, this and that, but like a lead, you know, that's the breakthrough. We want to see black people in the Heights. We want to see Afro-Panamanians, black Cubans, black Dominicans. You know, that's what we want to see, and that's what, you know, we were yearning for and hoping for.
I hope that at least that encourages more people to tell more stories and get out there and do it right then.
There is a long history of colorism and pigmentocracy in Latin America. And with that, what would you say to folks who say that In the Heights privileges white passing and light-skinned Latinx people?
I would say that that's a fair conversation to have. I mean, listen, we're not going to get everything right in a movie. We tried our best on all fronts of it. I do think there's something to be said about sharing in experiences, and me never trying to say I know what I'm doing, but to just give room to everybody to speak up about.
Did you even watch the movie? No, of course not, dude. What the fuck? I don't even know where I would watch it, and I'm probably not gonna watch it. I don't like Broadway musicals, man. Like, is it on HBO Max? I think the problem is that a lot of main roles end up going to lighter skinned actors. That's not the fault of the actors themselves because they're just trying to work. I mean, I don't think they get mad at the actors. Or if people get mad at the actors, they're being fucking ridiculous, dude. Jesus Christ. But why do so many chatters have a problem with the term Latinx? Because it's not a term that Hispanic or Latino people use, and using it over and over again, especially when you're like white, makes you seem kind of fucking out of touch. Now, there's obvious reasons as to why, and I talk about it all the fucking time. Like, the chatters that are getting upset at it or making fun of it, some of them are white, but that's not like, that's not the main makeup of the chatters that make fun of Latinx, okay? A lot of fucking Latino people make fun of Latinx. X is Ekis. Like, it's not even, that's why I say Latine, which is like a better, more appropriate fucking term to use than Latinx. Okay? I just do it because, you know, it's kind. I want to be kind. But other than that, like, unless someone is like, I'm Latinx, like, I'm probably not going to use it. Especially because, like, it's fucking stupid, and putting an X behind it is, again, it's like really stupid. It's a really, really, really fucking stupid way. And it's like, I've talked about it. It reeks of like, and I know people are going to say it was a Puerto Rican person that came up with Latinx as a concept or whatever the fuck, and it's not like a white person, but it literally reeks of like cultural imperialism to be like, oh, your language has like gender, your language has like, you have a gendered language. We're going to try to make that gender neutral, but in the most Western focused, like American way possible by slapping an X on the fucking ass side of the word. Like, that's so stupid, dude. It literally reeks of like linguistic imperialism. Like, I'm going to tell you, a Hispanic person or a Latino person, like, that you are wrong and this is how you're supposed to fucking say it, and use literally use like a fucking letter that doesn't even fit there. It's so weird. You should have just said Latine if they wanted to make it gender neutral and like not fucking stupid. But they didn't. They said Latinx, and now it's dumb as fuck. And now everybody who like tries to use it to be polite sound fucking out of touch and stupid. Okay? Like, it's literally like, anyway. White people are really good at telling non-whites how to express their culture. Yeah, like, it's just so dumb. As a Hispanic, I agree with your take on the use of Latinx. Anyway. Yeah, Latinx, dude.
what we're doing at that moment.
And I'll just add, like, this, I hope that this is cracking that glass ceiling, because I do hope to see my brothers and sisters that are darker than me lead these movies.
It's not your place to decide if it's a legitimate term or not. Lots of Latin American people use it, as do I as a genderqueer Puerto Rican. Yeah, guess what? If you want me to refer to you as Latinx, like, I will happily do it. But the reality is, one, because it's literally supposed to be gender neutral, and a lot of people are fucking transphobic in Latin American countries as well. The overwhelming majority of Latino people straight up do not abide by that standard or agree by it. So I wouldn't use generalities or try to use like the majority argument there, because again, only like, what is it, like fucking 2% of people 2% of people agree with Latinx. Like, you can try to speak for everyone, but you know, the reality is a lot of cishet Latinos are also fucking transphobic. Okay? Like, it's not exactly a fucking slam dunk, dude. About 1 in 4 U.S. Hispanics have heard of Latinx, but just 3% use it. Especially because it's an X. Only cringe Latinos in the U.S. use it. They don't even speak Spanish, I bet. Young people here in Mexico use it, but mainly rad libs, and white people read me. Anyway. You'll use it when asked, and in the meantime, you're going to stir chat about how it's dumb and white. I mean, I still think it's dumb. Yeah. I think Latin A is better than Latin X. You know? Maybe one day it will truly change it, but maybe one day that culture will change. But I've like never, I have yet to meet, Buddy's getting canceled for this. No, I'm not. I've yet to meet a Latino person in the wild to be like, yeah, please refer to me by Latinx. Like, I have yet to be. Transphobia is okay when it comes from marginalized people. What? Do you think it's fucking transphobic to use an X when the substitute of Latin A is a better substitute than slapping an X? Like, what the fuck? It's literally a fucking American, a predominantly fucking English-speaking language enforcement on a language that has gender in it. Anyway. You literally said, I don't use Latinx because cishet Latino people are transphobic. No, I said I don't use Latinx normally because the overwhelming majority of people that I speak to would look at me like I'm a fucking out-of-touch white person for using it, okay? And that is the fucking truth. If 97% of Hispanic and Latino people don't use Latinx as a way to fucking describe themselves, then me using it as a white guy is going to make me look more out of touch. So that's what I'm saying. And you are trying, I feel like, very hard to not understand this very obvious fucking point that I'm making. Chatter's wrong. Most Hispanic people absolutely hate the term Latin and Hispanic because it lumps people together unnecessarily. Most prefer to be called by their actual cultural background: Mexican, Puerto Rican, El Salvadoran, etc. Yeah. It'll make you look like a gringo. Yeah. I'm not trying to fucking look like a gringo right now, okay? I'm trying to look like I'm with it. Trying to not look like a pinche gringo. I'm trying to look hip. Which is why I use Latiner whenever I describe. That's gender neutral. That's what I used to say. There's also terms like mestizo and mulatto referring to white people mixed with indigenous or African descended people. I mean, yeah, that's. Say foo and you with it. Anyway. Okay. Hispanic LGBT plus communities use Latina, by the way. Latinx hasn't even caught on amongst Latinos. It never will. The term is an English language contrivance, not a real gesture at gender inclusivity. Like, people get so butthurt about this, dude. It's like one thing that they just refuse to acknowledge. Like slapping an X on the ass cheeks of Latino is just like such a weird way to go about gender neutrality. Anyway. Well, I don't use Latinx. I'm from Puerto Rico. I think it's worth discussing how many Hispanic people accept non-gendered language. It is definitely not widely accepted by Spanish-speaking communities, despite being more inclusive. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, if you've learned gendered language your entire life, it's very, very difficult to reconstruct it. And it's like such a fucking... It's such a minuscule part of like an overall gendered language to like try to make one aspect of it gender neutral and then get mad about it. You know what I mean? Butthurt, yikes. Shut up, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, the entire language is gendered. Now, of course, there are woke-ass languages out there, like fucking Turkish, that are already gender neutral. So I had to learn all these fucking gendered pronouns and shit when I was learning English, motherfucker. And they also, like, we only talk about it as Latino. Like, we only fucking slap an X on the ass cheeks of Latino. What about all the other fucking words that are just inherently gendered? Because Spanish is gendered. It's a language. Are people throwing X's on the... Are people throwing X's in the back of everything? No, seriously, like, they're not. So, what's up? Pendejex. Anyway. I'm not reconstructing my native languages to appeal to white people's thirst for virtue signaling. It's not white people. It is definitely non-binary people that are Latine or Latinx that are pushing for this.